Well, being on the road was fun. We love New York City. We love being out and about, but there's no place like home, and nothing says home more than Thanksgiving. So let's set our Thanksgiving table. And I want to share with you what I think are 4 key elements to creating a really beautiful table setting and tablescape. We're going to go through them one by one. Anyone can execute these 4 keys. So what do you say? Let's do it. Okay, so let's run through them one by one. My 4 keys to setting a really stunning table. And anyone can use these 4 tricks. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be resourceful. Sometimes thrift stores can be helpful. Sometimes borrowing things from your friends can also be a resource. So let's go through them one by one. And first, let's give a shout out to Stuart, who's been sick for about a week. But he's finally back, and we're trying to get some shooting done. So number 1 crucial element is sparkle. So that sparkle needs to come, I think, from a variety of different sources. So it can come from your glassware, from your crystal. It can come from your candlesticks. It obviously, even that kind of sparkle can come from your dishes. It can come from your flatware. Basically, when I think about sparkle, it's anything that will reflect light, anything that will especially reflect candlelight, because nothing is more beautiful than something that is sparkling and reflecting the candlelight on your table. It's not only important to make the elements of your table and the components of your tablescape beautiful, but I think it also serves to make your guests and you look a little bit more sparkly and pretty too. And number 2, illumination. Whether that comes from candles, whether it comes from battery-powered candles, whether it comes from battery-powered lamps, rechargeable lamps, if you will. But I really think some kind of illumination is just crucial. Just like a room isn't very cheerful if it doesn't have a fire in it, well, likewise, your table isn't very elegant if it doesn't have some form of illumination. And I also think it's fun to stagger your elements of illumination. So you'll notice that I've got taper candles at this level, but then I'll also drop in some little votives around the table at varying levels, and not only on the table itself, but I think it's also fun in the surround of your tablescape to also have some kind of soft illumination, because what I hope to do is really turn the lights down low so that that illumination stands out and really is, well, it's just a little bit more dramatic. So any kind of illumination will really make your table look beautiful and also highlight all of the sparkles that you've already accounted for. Number 3, textural contrast, and those textures can come from anywhere and everywhere. So on this Thanksgiving tablescape, I've got textures in the form of my rattan chargers, which I think are really beautiful. Different kinds of linen textures in the napkins, shiny, matte, glossy textures in the flatware. A lot of this stuff just happens naturally. I've also got lots of different kinds of textures, leaf sizes, matte versus glossy contrasts in whatever will be the centerpiece for the table. I've also got that in my table linens, not just the napkins, but also the tablecloth itself. And even the table, in some cases, can give you a different kind of textural element that I think really makes your table interesting, gives it dimension, and just makes it look a lot more inviting and spectacular. And here is a quick tip that a number of you have seen me use in the past, and that is if one of my existing tablecloths doesn't really match the vibe that I want it to have for my tablescape. For example, I really don't like the way this blue on blue looks, but magic happens when I turn it over. It's basically inside out or upside down, and I love the subtle white floral quality to the tablecloth this way. So if you have an existing tablecloth, you don't want to spend any more money, then look at what you've already got and turn it upside down. Well, laundry and luxury aren't two words that we would typically think of together, but today's sponsor, Laundry Sauce, has changed all of that. What I love about it, well, I mentioned a while back how I like to fold really warm laundry when I'm cold. Well, that experience is even more pleasant when you use Laundry Sauce because it gives it just a soft and subtle fragrance. It's not overwhelming. Actually, I chose Australian sandalwood, though there are other fragrances from which you can select. This is a scent booster, and I just put a little bit of it in the bottom of my tub, kind of according to taste or according to how much fragrance you really want in your linens. It's especially great in towels and in your sheets and pillowcases. Now, the other thing that I love about it is just the ease and the convenience of pods. It uses minimal packaging, and even the box is made out of recycled paper. You can kind of boost up that whole experience, that fragrance experience, and the elegance of that even more if you want to use some of their dryer sheets. That is definitely something that a lot of people like to use. I think, well, again, it just makes things feel soft, special, and an elevated experience. They also make a scented fabric conditioner. So just get your laundry, put it in there, shut the door, and give it a spin, and that spin will be fragrant for sure. So if you also want to elevate your laundry experience, make it seem more luxurious, then definitely you want to check out the QR code on the screen right here and find out more about Laundry Sauce. Now, if you're having a gathering of any size, you're probably going to have to divide up into two tables. Table A for me and table B. So I really want the people at table B to feel as if I've gone to as much trouble as I did in the decor of table A. And in this case, I think I did just that. I wanted to harmonize with the original thematic kind of the table. So for me, that's going to be blue and white this year. So I've repeated a lot of the same elements. Now, I love these kind of subtle differences. So on table A, I have all Italian blue and white Spode. And the difference between table B and table A, well, the provenance of table B's Spode is from England. It's subtly different. It has some fluting around the edges, but nevertheless, it all, I think, really coordinates and harmonizes beautifully. I've used the same glassware, and I've got the same theme, but a little, just a few changes over here. I've got a brass candlestick, and I've also got a different kind of votive candle sitting at a different level. Now, there are additional touches that I like to do seasonally, or I don't know, they're just kind of unexpected to put your table over the top. These are things most people don't do on their tablescapes. We typically don't do them when we dine on an everyday basis, but I think going to the extra trouble and the extra effort for these additional flourishes makes all the difference. And what are those seasonal flourishes, you say? Well, here's a few of them. Number one, typically when we dine every day, we don't use place cards. But I think it's a really nice gesture to make, especially on a Thanksgiving table, because I have had the same people for Thanksgiving for I don't know how many years, maybe 15 to 20 years. And I kind of know now which people should not sit next to one another and which should. And so I can dictate that kind of seating arrangement just by the very clever use of place cards. Plus, it makes each person, I think, feel that much more special, and that's what Thanksgiving is all about, and one of the reasons it's my favorite holiday. Something else that I like to do is use unique salt cellars and other kinds of accents on your table that you wouldn't usually use otherwise. Yes, you could put your regular old salt and pepper shaker on the table, but why not use something that matches and is a little bit more sophisticated and elegant? So I have these tiny little dishes, which right before I dine will contain both salt and pepper that everyone can use. I'll have a little tiny wooden spoon, and they can use this to salt and pepper all of the goodies for the Thanksgiving feast. The other thing that I like to do, well, anything that is a reference to the garden to me is the ultimate in an additional flourish that you should have on your table, not only as a centerpiece, but in other clever ways. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about one of those. It's actually one of the suggestions in my book, right here, give it a plug, A Year of Garden-Inspired Living, a fun idea. Your kiddos can do it along with you. And I'm going to read that special little treatment when we get back. Okay, so this is the idea that I want to share. And I also want to share with you in this story the origin of the idea for it and where I started doing it as a regular practice in my seasonal and celebratory tablescapes. And in this instance and in this story, the tip is, have a holly jolly fundraiser. The tradition for her garden club began when Edith, who hated the mess of candle wax dripping onto her holiday table, crafted small wreaths from evergreen sprigs and holly berries from her garden to catch the wax at the base of her candlesticks. She loved the way the fresh greenery added a festive, garden-y touch while serving a practical purpose. She demonstrated the charming craft at one of her garden club meetings where they quickly took to the idea. They loved the dual function of the babeshes, protecting surfaces and showcasing seasonal clippings, all with a nod to the garden and tradition. The use of evergreens and berries not only brought color and fragrance indoors, but also provided a fundraising opportunity as well. No bake sales this year. Instead, they would create and sell their handmade candle decor with dripless candles and inexpensive thrifted candlesticks. It proved tremendously successful, and over time, the practice became a simple, practical tradition for holiday decor and for garden club fundraising. So this idea tells me that this would be a great fundraiser. It would be a great thing for kiddos to work on as a project. You know, I think John shared with us a source for lots of inexpensive candlesticks that he found on Etsy, but you could also find them at thrift shops, things of that nature. And then you just make your own little babesh to put on top of the candlestick and to kind of, I don't know, create a little skirt for the candle. I think it's charming. I think it's a wonderful way to bring in the season. And after Christmas, I'll probably be bringing in lots of red berries and maybe some tiny pine cones that I also want to use to adorn the babeshes. But I think it's a fun idea, one that you might want to replicate for your Thanksgiving or maybe your Christmas table. Now, another couple of observations. Number one, this will be our third Thanksgiving at the cottage. And if you've been a follower for a while, you may remember that the first year we ate here in the kitchen, and I did kind of an L shape, or rather a T shape with the tables here in the kitchen itself. It was before I had this large round table that I got to replace the other one that is now my desk. You got all that? Mm-hmm. Last year, I wanted to do something a little different, and we just made the parlor into a dining room, and I had two tables that I brought in, and we had those set for dinner. This one I like because it's a little bit less disruptive. I think we'll have as much room, if not more, and it makes a little bit more sense. So this is my third iteration, and what may be my final iteration, but you know, who knows? If anything's ever final, I change my mind all of the time. But I think it will work out. Now, in terms of having enough seating, I've got lots of these folding rattan chairs. And yes, I will have all of the links to everything, to the rattan chargers, to the china, to the chairs, anything else, to my cute little salt and pepper cellars. I will have all of those links in the description box below, so make sure to check them out. But the other thing that I like is that these rattan chairs, I've got two that I brought up from the basement. I've got two more in the basement waiting to be brought up. They also kind of speak to the theme, and they add another textural element. They're also easy to bring in and easy to move out. Something else that will be on its way out for Thanksgiving are all of these stools that go to the island. So I'll be removing all of these. I'll just kind of magically whisk them away into my office, because it's the island where we will have all of our table goodies set up. So I'll have tomorrow, probably I'll put my different dishes and things in place to make sure that we can accommodate all of them without it being too chaotic. I'm having a group of 10 to 12. I'm not sure which number is accurate at this point, but I pretty much know what everybody brings, because we do a potluck Thanksgiving. So I can create the pretties. I make the dressing or stuffing, depending on what part of the country you're from. Johnny will be making the mashed potatoes this year, and then everybody else will be doing their thing and bringing their contribution. Fortunately, very fortunately, one of the sons of our good friends that was also a schoolmate of Johnny's, he is a wonderful chef, and he'll be bringing the turkey. And last but not least, it's all about garden-inspired living, and obviously we have to have a nod to the garden, typically in the form of the beautiful centerpiece on both tables. Now, the centerpiece on table B is obviously going to have to be a little bit smaller, much more demure, so that it doesn't overpower the table. This one is actually in progress. What you see now, this beautiful arbor vitae and the Chinese snowball viburnum, well, it's just a placeholder, because I like to set my tables far enough in advance so I can really enjoy their beauty before the big day, when they get destroyed in short order when everyone arrives and sits down. So that's my question of the day. I have asked this question before, and I'm going to ask it again, along with another very important ask of you. I need some advice, but that is, do you set your table in advance so you can enjoy it for the duration of the Thanksgiving holiday week? And secondly, I'm having Date with Iris put together a flower arrangement for me. Now, I could do it myself, but every year my friend Jenny, she has a Thanksgiving arrangement made for me by Chris at Date with Iris. I give her the inspiration. I tell her what my table's going to look like, and well, then she executes something beautiful. What she's working with right now, and we can put a picture, is a gorgeous Spode casserole dish. And she's going to create an arrangement that has arbor vitae in it from my garden, and maybe also some Chinese snowball viburnum from my garden. And then she's going to add different elements to really make it, I think, exquisite. Here's my question for you. Should I stay with kind of an all white and green and blue theme, or should I really be a risk taker and request that she includes maybe a really bright pop of orange, rusty orange, or something of that nature, which could also be really dramatic? So make sure to give me your opinion in the comments below. And while you are at it, please make sure that you subscribe, that you give us a follow. Most importantly now, that you hit the hype button, because that is very, very helpful to us. But most importantly, please make sure that you share with others that might enjoy this kind of content. So to wrap it up, that's what we've got going on. 4 essential keys that anyone can do to make their Thanksgiving table or any table special. Add some sparkle, add some texture, add some seasonal flourishes, and well, just create a little bit of magic with lots of candlelight and beautiful people surrounding your Thanksgiving table. You guys have a wonderful holiday, and we will be back actually tomorrow, because we're going to plant some tulip bulbs.